and you're watching NDTV Profit in association with NSC.
Welcome back. You're with us here on Opening Fire. The market, which is up 70 points now, so this is significant. 74, 73 odd is where the index is. That's a full 1% pop at this point. Let's talk to someone who's really one of the largest wind power developers in India. I'm talking about CLP Holdings Limited. It's a Hong Kong-based company. It's got operations in Australia, it's got operations in China, and India. It's the largest wind power company. Richard Kendall Lancaster is the Chief Executive Officer at CLP Holdings Limited, and it's a pleasure to have him here with us. Richard, thanks very much for your time. Before I get to CLP's plans for India and what you aim to do here, I just want to get an overall perspective on what your view is on the government's efforts to fix the power sector here in India, be it the supply side, which is coal, or fixing the SEB problem, the state electricity problem as well.
Well, I think there's been a lot of good progress made, particularly in two areas which have been so important to the power industry as a whole. One is in making sure that the fossil fuel supply is reliable and that adequate coal and natural gas is made available. Some good work has been done there to improve the reliability of coal supply. We are seeing some short-term measures which are alleviating the problem gas power generators have been seeing in the lack of affordable natural gas. But still a lot of work is needed there. The other side of the equation is the financial health of the distribution companies, and that is so important to the industry as a whole to make sure that investment right through the supply chain can be supported. Again, good work is being done. The policies are prioritising the right areas, but we still need to see a lot of further progress in those areas.
Richard, the monopoly in the coal sector in India is Coal India. It finds itself now in a position where it either has to cut output or cut prices. The problem is of excess coal supply now. What's your view? I mean, the situation actually now is lack of demand for the coal. Bit of a reversal from the last couple of years or so.
We've seen the supply of coal has now met demand. The pricing is really only one issue. There's the whole reliability of the supply chain. There's the quality of the coal that's being produced and consumed in power plants. There is still, I believe, a lot of work that needs to be done to make the whole supply chain robust and sustainable in the longer term. But we've seen at least an adequate supply of coal being made available to coal-fired power plants.
Do you have a view on coal prices themselves?
One thing I can say with certainty about fossil fuel prices is that they're always incredibly volatile. So whilst we've seen some dramatic drop in the price of oil, the price of natural gas and consequently coal, that is never going to be sustainable in the long term. So with fossil fuel prices, you need to recognise that there is always volatility in the market. We're in a business which needs a long-term view, and so what we need to look at more importantly is the long-term trends. And we're seeing a couple of factors coming in. The Paris Climate Change Conference has, I think, recognised that there is a price on carbon that will need to be factored into future investment decisions. Equally, we've seen the price of solar panels coming down quite dramatically as well. And to me, those are more significant factors that will affect investment decisions going forward.
Just to come back to Richard, the government's attempts to fix the sector, the latest sort of package is called Uday. Will it work? A simple question. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of the details of the scheme and what is being proposed, because the doubt is that similar attempts have been made previously in the past by other governments as well. Should one be more hopeful that this time it will fix the problem?
It's early days yet. I think the policy direction is right. The ambition to improve the financial health of the distribution companies is the right way forward. But as we say, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. We'll have to see the outcome perhaps over time to really assess whether this is a sustainable improvement.
Okay. CLP is known as an extremely conservative buyer of assets, as a conservative investor. Richard, in India right now, there are many coal-fired power plants which are on sale, distressed situation. Is CLP interested in buying any of these? Are you looking?
We believe our capability is best suited to greenfield power development. So our focus has been more on looking for greenfield project opportunities rather than looking at perhaps some stranded assets or businesses in distress. So we believe our capabilities are in bringing innovative and clean technology to markets such as India, which need to improve their power generation capacity, but in a way that's environmentally friendly.
Which means that you have looked at the assets and you don't like what you've seen.
Yes, we've decided not to participate in the ultra-mega power projects in the current wave. Our emphasis for what we see longer term for our portfolio is we would like to build our renewable energy part of our portfolio in at least as big as we are building our conventional power plant. We do have some expansion opportunities at our two sites, one at Pagathan in Gujarat province and the other one at Jhajjar in Haryana. And we're focusing our attention for the near term on our expansion of our existing sites. And equally, we'd like to develop renewable energy. We are the largest developer of wind energy in India, and we would like to add solar to our portfolio as well. So that's where our investment focus is for the time being.
You're already the largest wind power developer in India, Richard. Are you adding more capacity on the wind side? You made it clear that you're looking at renewables, but is it going to be wind? More capacity there?
We have just under 1,000 megawatts in operation or near completion at the moment. We do have some further wind sites in the pipeline. But with 1,000 megawatts of wind, that's about a third now of our total generation portfolio in India. So we would like to balance that out with some more solar power. So our focus is from the renewable energy side to be more focused on solar power rather than wind power.
Solar power. Okay, fair enough. Can you tell us, is it, the move to focus now, the conscious attempt to focus on solar, is it purely incentive-led? The incentives, the regulatory framework, etc., which the government is providing there?
It's two considerations. One is to balance out our portfolio. By having a diversified portfolio, it helps us better manage risk. But equally, we see that the price of solar panels has been trending down, and we see that will likely continue. So we see that solar power is a competitive source of power. It's also very much supported by the Indian government policy to achieve a target of 100,000 megawatts of solar power. So we see that being in line with government policy, with prices for solar equipment coming down, and to be able to further diversify our portfolio, it makes sense for us.
In solar, Richard, can you give us some more details? How much capacity you're looking to put up? Will you be looking for a partner? You'd do it alone?
We have typically invested 100%. We have experience in mainland China where we have been developing large-scale solar farms there. So we have the expertise and we have the know-how. We have yet to identify specific opportunities, and our opportunities are identified really with a long-term view in mind. So we will take a long-term view of how we can grow a sizable and sustainable portfolio over time.
Fair enough. On the renewable front, Richard, is everything in place in terms of incentives, the framework, or is something more required?
Certainly on the wind side, we've seen the policy support there, and that has been important for us to develop the size of portfolio that we have, 1,000 megawatts of wind capacity. So we believe that is definitely there in the case of the wind. With solar power, it's quite an early stage of development. There has been a lot of activity, there's been a lot of interest from both domestic and international investors in solar power in India. But we have yet to find the right formula that will see a sustainable portfolio being developed over time.
Just one last final question, Richard. Any plans to list the CLP assets in India? Any plans at all right now? We have shelved any plans to list our assets here for the time being. We have sufficient resources to be able to grow our portfolio here at the scale that we want. So for the time being, we have no plans to list the business here. Richard, thank you very much. It's a pleasure speaking with you. Appreciate you joining in. Good luck with your solar capacity plans here in India. Thanks very much.